हे जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय, नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, पंचतत्व की जय, निताय गौर चंद्र की जय, गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वामन देव की जय, परशुराम भगवान की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So we are in the chapter number 10. The name of this chapter is called as the opulence of the absolute. This is a very important chapter because the previous chapter is the most confidential knowledge, and all these chapters, chapter number 7 to chapter number 12, constitute the Bhakti Yoga. So they are very important, and particularly in this chapter, Lord Krishna explains about his opulences to Arjuna, and then Arjuna accepts his opulences and he accepts that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he says that I have heard from many authorities before that you are the Supreme Lord, and I have heard from you yourself now. Therefore, I agree you as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one of the important verses in this chapter, Lord Krishna says in the beginning of this chapter, Tat Shrunu. He says, listen. So listening is very important, and listening about Krishna or listening to what Krishna says in this chapter is particularly very important. Let us see what is the verse for the day. Today's verses 10.4 and 5. Buddhirjnanam sammohaha kshama satyam damah samaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa shanti samata tushtis ahimsa samata tushtis tapodanam yasho yashah bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidaha. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction.
Not audible, Prabhuji. Not audible, Guruji. Prabhuji. No, not audible, Prabhuji.
And our distress, right? Our birth and our liberation, all of them are decided by Krishna. Our fame and infamy, our fearlessness and fear, and our remembrance and delusion, both are coming from Krishna. So we will see this very nice purport that is written by. Okay. So here it was said that the audio was lost. From when the audio was lost?
When you're reading last 3 to 4 lines, Prabhuji.
Of the translation?
Purport. No, translation, I mean.
Translation? Okay, sure. I'll do it once more. No problem. So let us hear the translation for this verse. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from birth. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. So this is very interesting because Krishna is saying that all these qualities like remembrance and delusion, right? If we have to remember Krishna, it is Krishna who has to give that knowledge. If we have to forget Krishna, it is Krishna who gives us the knowledge. All our happiness and distress, the cause of our happiness and distress is Krishna. And the cause of our fear and fearlessness is Krishna. The cause of our fame and infamy is Krishna. So let us see in detail the purport of this verse. So very wonderful purport here written by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So let's go through that. Okay. So here it's been given that whether good or bad, all the qualities, they come from Krishna only. No, it does not matter whether it's good or bad. Everything comes from Krishna because Krishna is complete. If he has to be complete, everything must be coming from him. If only good is coming from Krishna and bad is not coming from Krishna, that means there is some bad element which is beyond Krishna, which is not coming from Krishna. Then that means that it is independent of Krishna. Then it becomes very dangerous concept. Everything in the world comes from God. Whether it is good or bad, it comes from Krishna alone. Okay, let's see more. And here it is said, what is intelligence? The first one it was said here as buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. What is intelligence is the power to analyze things in the proper perspective. Main thing is to understand what is spirit and what is matter. This is called as intelligence. Intelligence is not about memorizing so many different things. So memorization anybody can do, right? So we can have multiple degrees, but that is not considered as intelligence as per the Vedas. Intelligence or buddhi means the ability to discriminate between matter and spirit. So what is matter? What is spirit? So if you see the dead body and the living body, what is the difference between a dead body and living body? A person with knowledge, an intelligent person can see that the living body has got the living entity inside it. That is, the soul is there inside it, right? Whereas the dead body no longer has got the soul. So therefore it is a dead matter. That's why we call it as a dead body. And we say that this person has passed away. So this knowledge, this spiritual knowledge is called as the actual knowledge. So whatever knowledge that is given in the modern universities, that is not talking about spirit at all. Do you see that there is any department that is discussing about what is the difference between the living body and dead body? I mean, is there any spiritual science, any department in the university which talks about spiritual science? No. And does the modern science believe in any concept like karma? No. Do they believe in God? No. So they don't believe in anything which cannot be seen. But there are so many things that cannot be seen. See, for example, we cannot see our intelligence. We cannot see air. They are subtle things. So that only we cannot see. Then how can we see spirit soul? Spirit soul is more subtle than the mind. So senses are there which we can see. Beyond the senses, more subtle is the mind intelligence. More subtle than intelligence is the false ego. More subtle than false ego is the spirit soul. So more subtle than the spirit soul is the super soul. More subtle than the super soul is the supreme personality of God. Now tell me, how is it possible to see this? So this is not possible to see. We have to see with the eyes of knowledge, right? So that is why modern education, there is no knowledge of the spirit. They only see from an academic point of view. They see from a dead matter point of view. If everything were to be a dead matter, they discuss and they go in that direction. That is why they do not have the knowledge of the spirit soul, right? About life, they do not have knowledge, right? So what is more important, dead body or life? No, what is more important? So if there are so many people, let us say there are 8 billion people, what is more important? Their bodies or the actual life inside them? It is life that actually matters. So that means we have not got the main point, right? Just like the car and the driver. So we are talking only about the car. What about the driver? Or just like, now there is a house. Inside the house, there are so many people staying there. So if you are only concerned about the house and not about the people inside it, then there is some problem in our perspective. So similarly, if we are concerned only about the dead matter, which is the modern education, the spiritual education actually gives something which is beyond, which cannot be perceived through our senses. So that is called as Veda. So a person who knows this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, he is called as intelligent. Therefore, Krishna says, Sabuddhiman Manushyesu. Many times he uses the word Buddha Bhava Samanvita. Buddha. Buddha means intelligent. Buddhihi. Asammoha means freedom from doubt and delusion. So basically, we are in the opposite right now. Sammoha. Sammoha means being in delusion. Correct? So actually, the entire world is in a kind of a delusion. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that says that more or less every living entity is in madness because they have accepted that their dead body is themselves. I mean, I have accepted that I am the body. So which is actually a false conception. So in this madness, I am designing my life. And all the decisions that I'm taking, all the time that I'm spending, all the efforts that I'm putting is to nourish this body and not the soul. So therefore, this is called as sammoha, delusion. Means I have actually forgotten that this body is dead matter and this can go anytime, right? Over the time, it will go. So if I have forgotten, that means delusion, right? Freedom from delusion, asammoha, we can get slowly by reading this philosophy, right? So here Prabhupada is saying no need to accept blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. By hearing from the disciplic succession, the Vedic literature, the scriptures, we can understand and get freedom from doubt and delusion, right? And kshama means tolerance and forgiveness. So if there is any kind of a offense that is committed by others, we should be ready to forgive it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. And he says, Tarorapi sahishnuna, means be tolerant like a tree and do not expect respect, but give respect to others. So this is called tolerance. So this must be executed for devotional service. So these are all the qualities that Krishna is saying that all these qualities are coming from me only. I am the cause for all these qualities. Satyam means truthfulness. So truthfulness, as per the social convention, it is said, Satyam vada, dharmam chara, speak truth and be religious. And don't say that truth which is not palatable. And don't say palatable things which are false. Don't say false things which are palatable, nor say the truth which is not palatable. That is social convention. But Srila Prabhupada here is saying that that is not the correct truth. That is not the correct truth. The truth means fact. Whatever it is, we must speak it. So just like if there is a thief, right? And if we don't warn people that he's a thief, then how will people know? If there is a fact, that has to be presented straightforward. That's what Prabhupada says. Whether somebody likes it or doesn't like it, that is secondary. That is a social convention. But just because people do not like it, if we hide it, then that is a bigger problem. Just like in our Indian history textbooks, in the social studies history textbooks, we see that so many facts are misrepresented. They are covered just to avoid some unpalatable mention of things. But if you are actually covering everything and painting a different picture, then that's a lie. How can you say some lies and how can you keep everybody in darkness? So that is not called truth. Truth means fact is a fact. It must be presented as it is. That is a speciality of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So Krishna speaks as it is, whether you like it or you don't like it. He says, Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So every living entity, he thinks that this material world is a very romantic place. It's a nice hotel to enjoy. But Krishna breaks the news very clearly. Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. I'm sorry to inform you. This is not a place to enjoy. It is impermanent. So this is like a very clear-cut, open explanation. Right? This is called Satyam. I mean, there is no beating around the bush and trying to say, yeah, this world is good. Yeah, there are some thorns. Yeah, life is full of thorns, but it is a bed of roses. Some kind of nonsense. No, that is not Krishna consciousness philosophy. Fact as it is, just like that. So that is very important. And facts should not be misrepresented. This is called as truth. So this is the definition of the truth. So others get benefited. So it may be unpalatable in the beginning, but later when we understand that, oh, this person is a thief, then at least we are careful that, okay, this is a thief, right? Like that, we are careful. So it is important. Similarly, if we are informed that this material world is full of suffering, be careful about desire. Krishna is saying desire is your enemy, right? So unless Krishna informs us, how will we know? It is so unpalatable to hear that. Oh, desires are so bad, but I have so many desires. But Krishna says it, right? Similarly, Krishna says that anybody who is born has to die. Anybody who is dying has to be born. So he's speaking about death. That is also so unpalatable. I don't want to hear all this. It's so grim. But if we do not hear, then I will lose something very important. I will lose my spiritual life. So therefore, truth must be given as it is. That is very much appreciated. Let's see the next one. The control of the senses. The purpose of the senses, they are not supposed to be used for personal enjoyment. So it's actually not wrong to use the senses. Actually, in the Vedas, it's not saying don't use the sense enjoyment at all. No, that's not saying. Saying should not be used for unnecessary gratification. Just like salt in food. So if you are eating some food without salt, it becomes very, very bland food. You cannot eat. So similarly, some sense enjoyment is required for the senses to properly function. But it should be restrained. It should be restrained. So that is very important. So that is called as Shama, control of the mind. And Dhamma means control of the senses, control over the mind, control over the senses. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is stressing on this point. Lord Krishna keeps saying that try to have a control over your senses. Try to have a control over your mind. Right? That is how we try to bring everything to control. So actually, the most difficult thing to conquer is our mind. So Alexander the Great might have conquered the entire world. But if you ask him, have you conquered your mind? Then he will say, no, I have not been able to conquer my mind. So then what is the use? You have conquered the entire world, but you have not been able to conquer your own mind and senses. So this is the war that we have to fight. So these are the enemies, right? Our mind and our senses are our own enemies. We should control them carefully with practice. So that is what Bhagavad Gita gives us that training. And Sukham and Dukkham. Sukham and Dukkham are dualities of this life, right? So what is Sukham? What is Dukkham? They are the dualities of life. So I am experiencing some sensual pleasure. That is Sukham. I'm eating some palatable food or sitting on a soft cushion. That is Sukham. Dukkham is a little uncomfortable situation. Like maybe the weather is not fine and I'm feeling very, very sweaty. That is Dukkham. Or I'm feeling a lot of pain. That is Dukkham. But Prabhupada here is saying actual Sukham, actual Dukkham is not this. The real happiness is to do what is favorable for spiritual knowledge. That is Krishna consciousness. If you do whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, you will get the real Sukham. That is the real happiness. And similarly, if we are doing something unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, that is Dukkha. That is for a devotee, if he forgets Krishna, even for a moment, then he will feel very sad. And once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Rai, what is the greatest misery? Then Ramananda Rai said, the greatest misery is the separation from a pure devotee. So when we are in the association of the devotees, it is so happy. And when these devotees go away, we feel a vacuum, right? So that vacuum is Dukkham, right? So similarly, whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness must be accepted. Whatever is unfavorable must be rejected. Then here the next word is said Bhava and Abhava. Bhava means birth. Abhava means death. Actually, there is no birth or death for the soul. And our actual identity is the soul. So which means that we really do not have any birth nor the death. Since we are falsely identified with our body, which is naturally going to die, we are thinking that it is our death. That is our mental imposition. But it is not a fact. Factually, we are simply getting another body. right? At the end of this body, tyaktva deham punarjanma. That is what is happening. After that, after the yata tata dehantara prapti means what? Dehantara prapti means at the end of this body is finished, we are taking up another body. So naturally, means this is some kind of a diseased condition. Actually, you must think about it. So just like if you see, just like every day I change my dress, right? I come from home, I come from the office, and I will change my dress and I will bath and put on the fresh clothes. Or if one of my dresses is torn, let's say, then I will give up these old clothes and take the new cloth. So this is the similarity of how we are taking up a new body. When the body becomes unusable, we take the new body, right? So this is birth and death. Actually, there is no birth and death for the soul. The soul doesn't die, nor is it born. But then why is it that birth and death is happening for us? We should think about it. The Vedas are saying this is a diseased condition. So right now we are having one disease that is called as Bhavaroga. That means that the disease of birth and death. This is the disease that our soul has got right now. So we have to cure this disease. So to cure this disease, the medicine is Bhagavad Gita. The medicine is Krishna consciousness. And if we properly execute this Krishna consciousness, this disease will be completely cured. So that is Bhavam. And here it is said about fear and fearlessness. So actually it is said that fear means worrying about the future. A person who is in material consciousness, he is always
Not audible, Prabhuji. Audible, Prabhuji. No.
No,
No,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. No. No, no. Even now, no.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes,
Now we can hear.
here now. Thank
Okay,
you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, since where is it lost? Sorry. What was the last point I was saying?
About death, Prabhuji.
About birth and death.
A birth and
Birth.
death. Yeah.
Abhava.
Abhava. Abhava. Death means change of body. Dehantara prapti. And this birth and death is actually it's actually a false condition. So just like it's a diseased condition, right? So diseased condition means diseased condition, normal condition. There are two different things. In a normal condition, the body behaves differently. In a diseased condition, the symptoms are different. So there are two different conditions. When we take the medicine, we come to the normal condition. Similarly, the soul right now is in a diseased condition. Our soul is in a diseased condition called as a Bhava Roga. That means the disease of birth and death. This is the disease that we currently have. Means repeated birth and repeated death is the disease that we are currently having. So we need to take treatment for this. Because the normal condition of the soul that it will never be born nor be dead. But in the diseased condition, in association with the matter, we are being born again and repeatedly taking suffering. So for this, we have to take the medicine of Bhagavad Gita. We have to take the medicine of the instructions of Lord Sri Krishna. We have to take the medicine of medicine of Krishna consciousness. So then our disease of repeated birth and death will be cured. So let us see more. Here it is said fear and fearlessness. So what is fear and what is fearlessness? So a person who is in material consciousness will have to be fearful. There's no other possibility. As long as I'm considering myself as the body, then definitely I will be fearful. Because this world, padam padam yat vipadam natesha. At every point there is fear. If I open the newspaper, then there will be fearful news only. What else will be there? Right? Anything. I'll think about my future and I'll become fearful. I'll see my medical reports, I will become fearful. Everything is fearful only. But a person in Krishna consciousness, he is not fearful because he knows that his future is very bright. Even if he has to die also, he doesn't bother because he is going back to God. So as long as he lives, he is fearless. Abhayam. Right? So Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhaya Charanaravinda. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Right? Abhaya Charanaravinda. So Abhaya means fearless. So this fearlessness is possible by Krishna consciousness. So this fear and fearlessness both come from Krishna only. That is, if we follow Krishna consciousness, then there is no more fear. If we do not follow, then naturally there is fear. Right? So that is about fear and fearlessness. Now let us speak about ahimsa. Ahimsa means what? Our understanding is not giving pain to somebody. Right? So the actually Srila Prabhupada is defining that is not ahimsa. Means I am not giving pain to anybody. That is not ahimsa. Right? The real ahimsa is to give something very good for others. Just like this. So let us say there are children, right? And these children, they don't want to go to school. So we have to force them in the beginning. They don't want to go. And they're crying. So is this himsa? If you think that if I'm giving trouble to their senses, no, they're crying. Let us give them mobile phone. Let them play nicely and be happy. Why should they go to school? Then that is not ahimsa. Actually, that is himsa. That is violence. It apparently looks like ahimsa, but it is violence. So similarly, if we are not taking our spiritual life, if we are not making a solution for the problem of repeated birth and death, that means we are actually being very violent. Because the violence is there, because the suffering is there, not just once, but repeated birth and death means what? Infinite loop means, I don't know, 100 or 1000 or 1 million times I have to suffer. So, and I am letting somebody suffer, then is this not violence? I am not, by not giving the spiritual knowledge, by not teaching it to others, I am actually doing violence. So the actual non-violence, Srila Prabhupada says, is by preaching Krishna consciousness, to tell everybody about the spiritual truth. That is the actual ahimsa. Not simply, which is apparently non-violent, that is not non-violence. Because the human body means, the meaning is in sense spiritual realization. Right? And if we are not using that for the proper purpose, then that is called as the real violence. And equanimity means freedom from attachment and aversion. Whatever is favorable to Krishna consciousness, accept it. Whatever is unfavorable, reject it. Right? So like that, we have to design our life. Tushti means satisfaction. So actually, there is a conversation in Srimad Bhagavatam where Uddhava asks, who is the richest person and who is the poorest person? Ko daridra. Who is the daridra? Who is the most poor, wretched man? So then Lord Krishna says, a person who does not have satisfaction, he is a daridra. Daridra means very, very poor, destitute. Means if we do not have satisfaction in our life, then we are actually very poor. If we are satisfied, then that is actual richness. Krishna says, somebody who has very good qualities in them, good character in them, such a person is a Srimanta, such a person is a rich man, not the person who simply has money or who does not have money. That is not the correct definition. Right? So therefore, satisfaction is very important in life. We should be happy with what we get from Krishna. Otherwise, we will be simply lamenting for whatever is not there. And there is a next word here called tapas. Tapas means accepting some difficulty which is not very pleasing to me. For example, rising early in the morning. See, I am not very much inclined to rise early in the morning because everybody wants to sleep. Every living entity wants to sleep in slumber. That is the natural. If we leave, we want to sleep like that forever. So, but then we will rise up. We will remember that no, Srila Prabhupada has given us instructions that we have to rise early in the morning and attend Mangala Arati. So therefore, let me rise early in the morning and chant. So this is called tapasya. So for example, fasting on Ekadashi. Nobody wants to fast. Who wants to fast? We just want to eat only. So again, but we are wantedly giving some trouble to our body. This is called austerity or tapasya. And the purpose of this tapasya is for attracting Krishna, not for any material purpose. Because even Hiranyakashipu also has done tapasya for 60,000 years. But he wanted to become the Lord of the universe. So that is not our goal. Our goal is for Krishna consciousness. So when we do tapasya, then we get knowledge, right? Even Lord has suggested Brahma to do tapasya when he was born first. So then Brahma does tapasya for 1000 celestial years, right? So let us see the next one. Yashas. Yashas means fame. So what is fame and what is disfame? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a man is said to be famous when he is a great devotee. That is called as eternal fame, right? That is called as fame. And anybody who is not having this fame, he is infamous. So what is eternal fame and whatever is temporary fame, let us try to understand. See, temporary fame means I am doing some social activities. So that is very easy to get fame actually, right? Because in Mahabharata it is said, if you do charity, you will become famous. So just like we see big philanthropists, they are giving billions of dollars and publishing. And naturally, everybody in the newspapers will talk about them. Everybody will talk about them. So that is material fame, right? But real fame is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, becoming a devotee of Krishna. If you are famous as devotee of Krishna, this is an eternal activity. So we are eternally famous, not only in this world, but all the three worlds, and forever we will be famous. So because becoming a devotee of Krishna means release from this bondage of birth and death, going back to Godhead. That is the real fame, not the temporary fame, which is there by some people, right? This is not called actual fame. And so it's being said like this, that all these qualities, they are actually coming from Krishna, right? So whatever good or bad, origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest itself in this material world which is not Krishna. This is knowledge. And although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. So this is the conclusion that we have to understand, that all qualities come from Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.